Poso maoni wiak, waiwanan kitanan ni mua e yoski piataya posnotaman e yum MITW Podcast. A yospis piataya posnapi notaman e ne hisikimaka e yoso matnamin e hakihi.
You're listening to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin podcast. I'm your host, Sheena Wapus.
And Gary Dodge.
So today we, of course, have Vaughn Bowles, Public Information Officer for the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, joining us. Welcome, Vaughn.
Hi, guys.
So, Vaughn, all of our questions this week are going to be about boosters.
Yay, booster shots. Boosters for everyone.
So are all booster shots now approved?
Yeah, so right now, all three of the vaccines that we've been using here in the U.S., Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson have all been approved for boosters. Johnson & Johnson and Moderna, I believe, are still under EUA, but are approved.
Okay, and are they fully approved or just approved for emergency use?
At this point, it's really a question of how you're defining emergency use. I mean, they're available.
Okay.
Maybe we can just say it that way. They're available.
Okay, and who qualifies right now to get a booster shot?
Right now, CDC and FDA are approving boosters for seniors, individuals over age of 65, anyone that's immunocompromised. So basically, people that have chronic conditions or any sort of organ transplants. It could be cancer or HIV, anything that compromises your immune system. It could be the medications you take as well. You'll have to talk to your doctor about that. But if you're immunocompromised, you're also eligible for a booster. And they're also saying front-facing employees and emergency personnel, PD, jail, police, firefighters, transit, healthcare workers. So
I know we've talked about like who qualifies before, but it seems like the list has expanded a lot.
Yeah, it has. And every week it gets larger. Basically, if you've had your booster or your initial vaccination 6 months ago, and you're doing anything in front of a person, you're almost at that point of qualifying.
Okay. So how important is it that people get boosters right now if they do qualify?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and we're roughly in the same place here in Wisconsin as we were last year, and cases really spiked up during the winter. Here on the reservation and around the neighboring areas. So it's fairly important to get a booster at this point and stuff. It's been shown that you're about 6 times less likely to pick up COVID if you've been vaccinated. And since they've been finding that, your immune system needs additional stimulation, the booster's pretty important to stay healthy over the winter months.
So maybe going into the holiday season is probably good.
Exactly. There's a
good
lot
choice.
More traveling, a lot more indoor activities. Some places aren't as well ventilated as they should be, so it is important to take that into consideration.
And you mentioned 6 months since your last dose.
Correct.
That's when you're able
to.
Okay.
That's when they're saying the immune response starts dipping down, and you'll want to look for a booster at that point.
Okay, so apparently we can choose which booster we want, mix and match, I guess. So what should people take into consideration when they're choosing which booster to get?
Really, the one thing to think about is if you've had, say, the Johnson & Johnson shot, which was a single-dose vaccination, they're recommending that you use either a Pfizer or a Moderna shot this time around. It has a little higher efficacy, lasts a little bit longer, and they're saying that if you receive the 2 different types of stimulation to your immune system, you get an overall better response. And so they're saying mix it up a little bit if you've had that.
Okay. And then are the side effects from getting a booster going to be more intense than getting the first or second dose?
I haven't seen any official reports saying that people getting the boosters are having more intense reactions or side effects compared to their initial vaccinations. It kind of makes sense, too, because, the reason for receiving a booster in the first place is to, re-stimulate, re-energize that immune system that's lost some of its memory function. Mm-hmm. Anecdotally, I've seen, a little bit on social media of people have been like, whoa, the booster's been crazy. But most people have been okay with it for the most part. So
okay.
So why is the Moderna booster half of the original dose? And does that mean that the immune response will be less than Pfizer?
So it doesn't mean that it's going to be less than a Pfizer response. Let me just throw that out there. Moderna has just found through their studies that they only need about half of the initial dose to re-stimulate the immune system. So, yeah.
Okay. Are people who don't qualify to get a booster right now still getting adequate protection against COVID?
Kind of depends. So it depends on how long ago they got their initial vaccination. It also depends on, some significant things. If you're a senior that's 65 and, runs 3 miles a day and don't have a history of smoking, your immune system is going to be in a lot better shape and help you a lot more than, if you are 65, overweight, have a history of smoking, or have other complications like diabetes as well. It's also difficult to say with those that are immunocompromised. If they'll still have protection, basically it's recommended for kind of the general population. They've looked at a lot of historic data, and those are the populations that typically need these things, and that's why they're recommending it for those groups. So it's kind of a blanket statement to keep populations' health.
Will boosters be available to the wider public soon? Like which groups are next to qualify?
That really depends on the supply level for the reservation. Right now, we're supposed to vaccinate and give boosters, but we haven't been given more doses. And so we're welcoming walk-ins. You don't have to make an appointment to come get it, and we're just trying to meet the need. Right now, I think we're doing it. I think we've been able to. I haven't heard any reports otherwise. And so, when you qualify, I would recommend getting it.
Okay. And then will the booster qualifications be age-specific? And then will younger individuals with no pre-existing conditions be able to get boosters?
I haven't seen any age restrictions on the boosters right now. I know since they just, started allowing younger children, age 12 and up, to start getting it, their immune systems are usually fairly robust. And if I think about it, that was just approved this last summer. So most of them won't even qualify just because of the time issue. So they should be fine, into a good portion of the school year, past the holidays and stuff, before they start, needing that booster anyway. So,
okay. And then what departments of the tribe are considered public facing? And then will they be qualified to get the booster right away?
Yeah, right. I believe they sent a list out, Incident Command did, and we can re-release that list. Off the top of my head, there are groups like the clinic, the jail, the transit systems, family services, and the schools. And I think food distribution also qualifies. Basically, if someone from the tribe is sitting across from you at a desk or looking at you through a window, they qualify at this point.
Okay, we've been expecting the Pfizer vaccine to be available to children ages 5 to 11 now for a while. Should we expect a Moderna and J&J children's vaccine as well?
I would assume so, and I've seen rumors of it coming fairly soon. So there's no reason not to expect that, within the next month or so, Moderna will release their findings and get approval for giving it to younger children.
How does the Pfizer children's vaccine differ from the adult version?
It's just size, volume. A dose for an adult is about 0.3 milliliters. And then they've found for the children's dose, they give them a 0.2 milliliter dose. So it's just volume.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
Halloween's coming up this weekend, everyone. I know the tribe's doing a drive-through trick-or-treat event. Please consider doing that rather than running door-to-door. There'll be far less exposure that way, and we'd really like to keep the community as healthy as possible as we go into the winter months. Also, next week we're running a vaccination clinic from 10 o'clock to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You can get both a flu shot and a COVID booster or an initial COVID vaccine if you need one. And then additionally on Friday from 10 to 6 p.m., you can also receive both flu shots and COVID vaccinations.
Waiwanan for listening to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also listen to the podcast on menominee-nsn.gov under the Community tab. Keep up to date by following us on Facebook at MITW Podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions about COVID-19, send those in to us at podcast@mitw.org.